So let's move now to foodworldorder.com. Been going on for almost a year and a half under the MediaMonarchy.com banner, covering all the attacks from farm to fork, as they say. And on all three of the sites, again, because things are moving at such a rapid pace, I can't post up full articles on the website. There's no way. There's not enough space or time to go over all of it. On each page, I end up posting up just a list of headlines. On Media Monarchy, we call it the News Purge. On Cyberspace Wars, we'll see in a moment, we call it the DEF CON. But here on foodworldorder.com, we call it the Binge and Purge. And this is the July 1st Binge and Purge. Serial killers and seed burners. The first of several from foodsafetynews.com. Kellogg's recalls 28 million boxes of cereal. Apple Jacks, Corn Pops, Fruit Loops, and Honey Smacks. Which, I believe when I was a kid, there were Sugar Smacks, I think. Where's that Super Sugar Crisp? I can't recall. But as some of you know, my regular day gig, I work with these items, and I posted up some recall notices on the pretty much empty shelf spots where we had Apple Jacks and Corn Pops and that kind of junk. But going on right along with that, from naturalnews.com, McDonald's threatened with lawsuit over toys and Happy Meals. This, again, the backlash, I think, and we're going to get to what, if you want to eat well, they're just going to call you crazy. But attacking the fast food nation, and we've gone over in recent weeks how, of course, the advertising all plays into it. You know it. You were a kid on Saturday morning. You saw all those ads and you wanted those cereals. Again, I see it at work. I see the kids. They want it. What I can try and do is be that kid myself and know that I'm a huge cereal aficionado, if you will. And I can try and bridge that gap between what the kid wants and what the mom needs. But enough about that. McDonald's threatened with a lawsuit over toys and Happy Meals. Again, parents going after the advertising, the toy tie-in. UK supermarkets selling meat from animals fed on GM crops. That is from The Telegraph. And again, we're tracking the GM backlash. And again, folks from West Virginia to Haiti. And we're going to see that. Haitian farmers to burn donated Monsanto seeds. This is from, again, my man Jeff Long of Rock Creek Free Press, DC 9/11 Truth, Redacted News, .blogspot.com, and now don't forget Haiti. You may recall the recent weather wars going on in Haiti. And as down as they are, here we have Haitian farmers burning the Monsanto seeds that they donated. West Virginia investigating Monsanto for consumer fraud. We grabbed this from gmwatch.org, but it sources back to a Reuters report. And again, from Food Safety News. And that's where our last few headlines here are all going to come from. Agencies to hold meetings in Chicago, Illinois, and Portland, Oregon on food safety progress. I believe the Chicago meetings are coming up pretty soon, and the Portland meetings, I believe, are going to be held this coming October. And hell, who knows? Let's again put out the call. Let's see if we can somehow get a press pass for someone who wants to go representing foodworldorder.com and see what's up at this food safety progress meeting. That could be something to look into. It could also be boring as hell. Salmonella contamination prompts cat food recall. Chicken of the sea recalled for bad seals. Which only now hits me as being a double entendre funny. And our last headline on the Binge and Purge, serial killers and seed burners. Raw milk consumers say, don't turn us into criminals. That's right, you're a criminal if you want raw milk. And again, we can't even sell it at our store, as progressive as we are. But now let's move to a big one from the New York Times. And again, we covered this on the latest episode of The New World Next Week. GM salmon set to move closer to your table. The Food and Drug Administration is seriously considering whether to approve the first genetically engineered animal that people would eat. Salmon that you can grow at twice the normal rate. The developer of the salmon's been trying to get approval for a decade, but the company now seems to have submitted most or all of the data the FDA needs to analyze whether the salmon are safe to eat, nutritionally equivalent to other salmon, and safe for the environment, according to government and biotech industry officials. A public meeting to discuss the salmon may be held as early as this fall. Well, maybe there's a topic for our food safety progress meetings in October in Portland. Some consumer and environmental groups are likely to raise objections to approval. Even within the FDA, there's been a debate about whether the salmon should be labeled as genetically engineered. And in parenthesis, we note that genetically engineered crops are not labeled. The salmon's approval would help open a path and set the precedent, my friends, for companies and academic scientists developing other genetically engineered animals, like cattle resistant to mad cow disease or pigs that could supply healthier bacon. Next in line behind salmon for possible approval would probably be the Enviro pig, developed at a Canadian university which has less phosphorus pollution in its manure. Yes. Glow-in-the-dark cats, spider goats, Enviro pigs, man-bear pig. Why not? But lastly, on Food World Order is a story that we covered. Good God, when was it? The flashback is August of 2009. This story did originate from The Guardian in August of 2009. We covered it on Food World Order, and we have the flashback. Pure food obsession is latest eating disorder, but now Mike Adams of Natural News has got a bit of an update on this story, again, as it grows, and as we're going to see, 2020 covering the story recently. Choosing healthy foods now called a mental disorder. In its never-ending attempt to fabricate mental disorders out of every human activity, the psychiatric industry is now pushing the most ridiculous disease they've invented yet, healthy eating disorder. This is no joke. If you focus on eating healthy foods, you're mentally diseased and probably need some sort of a chemical treatment involving powerful psychotropic drugs. The Guardian newspaper reports fixation with healthy eating can be a sign of serious psychological disorder, and goes on to claim this disease is called orthorexia nervosa, which is basically just Latin for nervous about correct eating. But they can't just call it nervous healthy eating disorder because that doesn't sound like they know what they're talking about. So they translate it into Latin where it sounds smart, even though it isn't. That's where most disease names come from. Doctors just prescribe the symptoms they see with a name like osteoporosis, which means bones with holes in them. But getting back to the fabricated orthorexia disease, The Guardian goes on to report, quote, orthorexics commonly have rigid rules around eating, refusing to touch sugar, salt, caffeine, alcohol, wheat, gluten, yeast, soya, corn, and dairy foods is just the start of their diet restrictions. Any foods that have come in contact with pesticides, herbicides, or contain artificial additives are also out. So, wait a second. Attempting to avoid chemicals, dairy, soy, and sugar now makes you a mental health patient? Well, yep, according to these experts. And if you actually take special care to avoid pesticides, herbicides, and genetically modified ingredients like soy and sugar, there's something wrong with you. Did you notice that eating junk food is assumed to be normal? If you eat processed junk foods laced with synthetic chemicals, that's okay with them. The mental patients are the ones who choose organic, natural foods, apparently.
On Friday, we showed you what can happen when your diet becomes your religion. John Stossel took you into the lives of people so obsessed with eating healthy, it makes them sick.